Ladies and gentlemen, the duo returns. Maven and I are back at it again. Another Rostermania reactions. This was a widely popular series from when we obviously lived together in New York. Ironically enough, Maven is currently in my old room.
That's true.
But now we wanted to bring it back. One, because even though I'm not podcasting full time, I'm still watching a ton. Obviously, Maven is still fully.
Should I turn my lights on?
Wait, all that did was add a shine to your head. No, turn it off. Turn it on. Perfect. That is so much better. That is a
there we go.
That's a perfect
there we
way
go.
to start.
Fuck proper lighting.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. So, obviously, there's been a ton going on. I've been trying to keep up my best. You've obviously been fully into all this stuff. So,
yeah.
Since I left, we had the rest of Stage 1, Birmingham, Atlanta. And now, obviously, we find ourselves after the Stage 1 playoffs. Now, the big reason for this Rostermania is because after the cutoff of Stage 1 was when rosters could be shifted, changed, and set up now for, is it the remainder of the season, or?
No, so basically Friday at 6 p.m. is the deadline for Seattle. I think there's like an extra day on top of that for non-pro league teams, but I believe that's the cutoff for pro league teams. And then after Seattle, there's another segment before Stage 2. So that's what's interesting. Like it seems like there's a million things that need to come together, but some of it might not before Seattle. Like, for example, Nameless tweeted last night, like, this might be the first event since God knows when where I don't have a team. And I hit him up. I'm like, hey, if you want to come on the broadcast, we could use you, because there's a chance he may not actually have a squad for Seattle. More than likely, he'll figure something out for Stage 2, but he might be screwed because he has like what, two days. Yeah, no, it's a very, 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 very short turnaround. I think that's why a lot of people, when Slasher announced right away, because he was kind of, we did talk a little bit about Moose and Unilad, but that was kind of because they didn't make the playoffs. Slasher goes to playoffs, and then instantly that day, right, says, I'm no longer part of Envy. Yeah. So basically the reason this happens, and the reason it can happen, when I guess at the beginning of this year, he didn't re-sign his contract. So that, I don't know what that detailed. Like, I don't know if he then wasn't being paid or if he was refused to sign it. But the fact is he wasn't on contract with Envy. So as soon as he was done, he was just like, hey, Marcus, the manager of Envy, I'm tweeting that I'm a free agent, which worked out very well for him and worked out well for everyone, because a lot of times the first domino is difficult to happen because you have to wait for 2 teams or 3 teams to figure stuff out between all the players and contracts. But since Slasher was an unrestricted free agent and wasn't under contract, like that, all of a sudden we have stuff in the works. So
and boom. And my goodness, is that quite the person to kick that off? I mean, Slasher, is he? I think he's still regarded as possibly the best AR in the game.
So I talked to several players about it, and some people involved in the Rise deal going down, and they kind of share this opinion with me.
Yeah.
Basically, outside of Luminosity, Slasher's an upgraded main AR for every single team.
Yeah.
And I even think that, honestly, not that Optic is making a change, but right now, like, I would take Slasher for Formal in a main AR role. Like, Slasher's been that good in that role. Granted, Formal's been going back and forth with Crim and stuff, but Slasher's been that good. So this wasn't a knock to Methods. This wasn't a knock to Replays if he went to that team. I just think, like, hey, if you have let's say, an A- player on your team and you can get an A+ player on your team, you get the A+ player.
And apparently they did. And I think it's even crazier because obviously he had just come off the MVP type of stuff with Methods, so it's even more like right in the back of your head. But Slasher was really the big thing that got the ball rolling, as you mentioned. And then from there, all hell broke loose. Obviously, just in the following 48 hours on this, we see movements of Slasher, Sunny B, Pharaoh, Bevels, Jay Hayes, Stumpy, Atura, which this is all off COD Gamepedia just to keep myself up to date.
Yeah, thankfully I have a full list of this.
Yeah, Swarly, Swells, Nox, Evasion, Lamagod, Methods, Mosh, Neslo, Slasher, and then even more. So that was already obviously the big kick. And following that, Slasher, the move, everyone kind of instantly thought Rise, right? That's what I...
Well, as soon as Methods became a restricted free agent, it was obvious, just because of what I mentioned earlier. Like, there wasn't enough time. Like, I think it was JCap that said, any deals that don't happen usually don't happen because of management or contracts. The fact that it happened so quickly, there wasn't enough time for like teams to talk stuff over, or like legal teams to get involved, and contract teams. Like, Slasher wasn't on contract, so it just made sense that it was simple as like, hey, Methods, farewell. Slasher, come on board. Yeah, and boom, it wound up happening. So Slasher moves on over there. This Rise Nation team now. I think
they're pretty scary.
They have the scariest roster in the game outside of, I mean, I still think you put Optic Gaming on that list just because we know the talent's there. And, you know, you and I kind of agree. They've got the 4 of the most talented players in the world. But right there with them is Rise. The only fear, I guess, is that, you know, Slasher and Looney want to kill each other, or Gunless and Slasher want to kill each other. But I don't really think it's going to be that big of an issue. One, just because I think this team is going to perform. And if you're winning, it solves most of those problems.
Yeah.
Looney talked about it a little bit on Nameless's podcast, but Looney doesn't seem to have a whole lot of worries. Like, he kind of thinks it's going to be that thing where they almost bump heads to improve, like in a good way. Like, think back to the old Complexity team when Crim and Eggs and people would always be at each other's throats. But like, if you're winning, it's all right.
You kind of get you kind of look past it. You kind of get through it. Yeah, I hear you. What's crazy for me now is how many different champions have we now had in Call of Duty World War II? If you remember,
4, right?
4. Yeah, I mean, leading into the jetpack CODs or in the advanced movement CODs, how many times did we hear some of these veterans say, "Oh, it's so fluky, it's so this," and I mean, yeah, we had a few different winners, but I think there's just more competition in COD nowadays. Like,
it boils down to 2 things. For me, it boils down to, yes, the competition, and 2 vetoes. I think that's the reason why we're seeing so many Game 5 series. And you know, Jack, we've had the conversation in the past where I don't usually agree that like S&D wins championships. I've always been like a hardpoint guy because it's games 1 and 4, and if you're a good respawn team, you have the edge because it's 3 out of 5. But in this particular title, I am finally, for the first time in my casting career, behind the S&D wins championships because of veto. Because if you go in, and how many times have we seen, there were so many 5-game series because you get 2 hardpoints, right? One team gets a hardpoint, they pick that favors them. One team gets a hardpoint that favors them as well. So you get a lot of splits there. You get kind of a coin flip then at times in the CTF, and then it comes down. So many times it's coming down to that Game 5. It's coming down to that clutch factor.
Yep.
So for the first time ever, I'm all on board with the whole S&D wins championships, and we've had a lot of. But when it comes down to a Game 5, all the pressure involved, like, yeah, you're going to have some crazy moments, some upsets. Like, that's just going to happen.
I think this past weekend at Stage 1 playoffs kind of showed that. And already just to see this many changes, I think that as we can keep moving, you know, kind of keep talking about it. We mentioned Nameless for a second with the whole restricted free agent. Also in that same kind of tier was Parasite, Felony, Study, and Dashy with the whole Complexity roster kind of crumbling. But I think the big thing I want to begin to focus on and move towards next is the whole TK thing, because...
Well, real quick, I do want to add one thing just to the bit you mentioned here, because there was a tweet I saw go out from Gamespedia just about the Complexity thing that basically said, I guess Jason Lake, the owner, did confirm that Parasite, Dashy, and Fellow are all getting their contracts bought out and going to different lineups. So at one point, I guess I do kind of want to speculate where we think they might go, because they are going to be leaving. At least what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm down to even think about that right now. I mean, it's
well, the one I'm curious about is just Dashy, dude.
Yeah.
I want to know. So here's a hypothesis real quick. So basically I was talking to somebody, which I'll leave unnamed, but they were talking about Hook, right? And basically that Hook, the way he is, being such a nice kid, and Slasher got in his head and stuff, he wants to team with like friends and people he wants to play with more and try to win than like be with better players that are like jerks. I guess I'm just wondering if like there's just this young god squad that comes together somehow. And I don't know what combination it'll be. I just have this feeling Dashy's going to play into it.
In a good way.
I don't know how. Yes, like maybe Dashy goes to Envy, or I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm excited because Dashy's probably the best player, not in the Pro League.
I think Dashy was the best player on that lineup. I don't know if is that crazy to say.
I agree.
You can make an argument for Parasite 100%, but I think for what I'd want in a person on a team moving forward, I would have picked Dashy of anyone on that team. Simple as that. I'm honestly not sure where we see the rest of those guys wind up going. I mean, you think about who's still available out there. Chino, Mox just announced he's a restricted free agent. You got Proto. You know, we're wondering what happens with the rest of the Lightning Pandas team, right? So, I mean, maybe there's some guys that fit into some of these roles, but I can't even begin to guess. There's so many
I'd love like a that'll happen, but like a Chino, Hook, Temp, Dashy type team or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Just
but
a bunch of nice guys.
Just a bunch of seriously though, like a bunch of nice guys that are all like real skilled. I don't know. I kind of feel like that could work.
Well, Temp can be 50-50 on the whole nice guys.
Yeah.
I realized after, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, definitely the first 3 were really nice. Temp, okay, well, Temp definitely can become a hothead at some points.
Parasite's interesting because I don't know. It's never been about skill for that guy. We know he's capable of. I guess the question is just, has he burned too many bridges at this point that no one cares to try and team with him? Oh, I didn't realize they have a rumors tab on here too. What are the rumors? Oh, there's already a rumor Dashy to Envy and Chino to Envy. So what I just said is apparently already a rumor. Okay, so great.
Wow.
Yeah, that must have popped up on Reddit or something. Did you see that on the right? I didn't even notice that on the site.
I didn't even look at it.
So yeah, there's Dashy and Chino. Okay, well then what I just said might actually be a thing. There's a rumor of what? Decimate to Envy as well. Dashy to EG. So, Okay. Well, interesting.
Decimate, Dashy, Chino, and Hook as an Envy lineup in the rumors tab is what it looks like.
Well, that wouldn't work because they still need to keep 2 of their players to keep their spot.
Wait. Twice on here. There's a rumor of Dashy to Envy and a rumor of Dashy to EG.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to believe at all.
Well, I think there's going to be a change, and you see Echo Fox on there a bit too for the rumor stuff. I mean, I think Echo Fox definitely has a change. EG definitely has a change. So everyone's basically changing outside of Optic, FaZe, and LG in my eyes. Pretty much everyone else.
Let's quickly talk about the kind of TK stuff because that's the other big one. We both agreed, and while we received some flack in regards to how it went about, we both agreed that TK team wasn't going to stay at the top forever. Teams did catch up. Teams absolutely surpassed them. And I'm not surprised to be seeing a change now, even after they won their first 2 events. By any means, I'm not surprised.
No, when I had my whole Maven rant against TK, it came down to a couple things. I was frustrated with some of the guys, the way they acted on social. Just felt like some of them were thin-skinned. But the reason I mostly did it, I didn't think they were going to win. It boiled down to, honestly, it's a 3-sub game. And you didn't have anyone dedicated to the flex. It didn't seem to be working, and things, I think you saw the flaws and the vulnerabilities that teams start to build and build. I'm excited for the new lineup. I guess my only concern is, don't you sort of run into the same problem that you had before? I know that they're saying accuracy is going to be the flex, but why wasn't accuracy the dedicated flex before with Chino? If it was something about Chino just not being comfortable on certain maps, then okay. I just think it's a lot of pressure to accuracy. He's gonna have to be solid with with AR.
What's the scarier part of this team? Is it for 2 AR maps having the combo of accuracy and methods, or for the 2 sub front line of Kenny and Pharaoh sprinting at your face in search and destroy, or flooding into a hard point?
No, see, I like the Pharaoh part of this deal a lot personally, and I mean we know what Theory brings. We've seen him clutch up in a lot of big moments. He's obviously been the heart of the TK lineup forever, but no one can argue that Pharaoh isn't an upgrade when you're just talking about raw talent and the fact that he's got so much more room to build. This reminds me sort of, I've seen some negativity around it. It reminds me a bit of the Priesta thing when Priesta joined FaZe, and this young player that wasn't as well known. A lot of people got on him. I'm sure Pharaoh's going to take some flack. He just strikes me as someone that can deal with the flack and is going to perform. I think Pharaoh's going to be a beast.
Yeah, I think for me it's simple as this. This is Pharaoh's chance now. This is a great team of accuracy. Kenny and methods have all been superstars in Call of Duty World War II, right? Up to this point, they've all had their moments of brilliance. They've all honestly had moments where we thought, are they the best in the game, right? And now you have Pharaoh on this lineup. I mean, if this guy comes in and something doesn't work or things go downhill, it's beginning to get to a point where you're like, what else does this guy need? No,
that's true. That's true.
And I think he's got to seize this moment and really be successful with it.
I agree with that. For whatever reason, I put all the pressure on accuracy just because he has to be that dominant flex now. There's no, hey, Chino, you run a sub on this map, I'll run it here, you run second AR here. He has to be the guy because at least I think in the Cause video, I believe they said it's going to be him and not Method. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, but I personally like the roster. I'm really, really excited to see what they're going to be able to do.
I'm really excited to see how this team plays search and destroy rounds. I mean, plays search and destroy.
What's interesting is, from what I heard, a lot of the reason that Methods was removed from Rise came down to 2 things. 1, Slasher is a better player.
Yeah.
Easy. 2, Methods wasn't the best in search and destroy.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But then again, Pharaoh can kind of take over games by himself. So there's
a lot to take in, because I think one thing you and I discussed was, obviously right now we've had this episode right here, but I think maybe we'll try to plan for another one, because there is still, I know what you and I both have a similar feeling of what's going on. There's more stuff that's on the horizon.
The question is just, does it happen before Seattle? Does it happen after Seattle?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I think we should probably record our next one. Friday after 6 when the deadline is.
And then that's 100% what I plan to. So
and we bang one out. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I really wanted to harp on. I think the only real thing that I'm excited to see what happens is just E United. We didn't really talk about E United. What's going to happen there?
That's the thing, is I think that's a perfect example of something that something's gonna come of it. So when we come back for the next episode, again, guys, be sure to drop a like on this. I'm happy to be doing it again. Obviously, love talking to my pal Maven here.
I love you, buddy.
I do love you too, dude. And it's good to be chatting some COD. I still watch so much, and had a blast watching this weekend. But it's crazy. It's crazy what's to come. I am really looking forward to things, but that's it for now, dude. That is it for now.
Yeah, we'll do another one soon.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.